Nice to see you. Oh. All right. Thank you so much to be with me, for being here with us. Welcome to Mindful Trip. So it's my first time on camera, trying to do some, podcast, trying to be cool. So thanks for coming back, Tofts. That's the right pronunciation for your name, please.
Yeah, Tofts. Yeah, it's a bit
Oh.
of a difficult one to pronounce, so don't worry.
No, it's not like my name. Don't worry. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for being with me. Nice to meet you again. So you are astrologist,
Yes, I
right?
specialize in past life astrology, quite
Perfect.
specifically.
With the kind of emphasizing in karmas, something like that.
Karmic debt, karmic patterns, karmic lessons, soul contracts. So yes.
Okay. So where you exactly start your path, like your graduation, your courses? Tell me a little bit more about your astrologist part.
Okay, so I have been practicing astrology since I was a child.
Wow. So it's like a talent. You always fell in love from the astrology part.
Yeah, there's always been something with astrology since I was a child that I've been really connected to. And it was only as I got older that I started to find other avenues. So, human design, and then astrocartography and all the other spiritual techniques that are out there, I started combining into my work and learning from. But in terms of courses, it's just been a case of doing every course that comes my way as and when it happens.
So you have astrology like your main goal in life, or you're a therapist, how you help people with your work.
What's my main goal?
Yeah.
Help people break karmic cycles and patterns and find purpose in this lifetime with the knowledge of their past lives.
Okay. So for example, someone who had like headache for a long time, doctors cannot discover what's happening. This person cannot go on with his life, or it's like a very heavy migraine. Can you understand what's happening towards his horoscope, like his map chart?
So possibly, obviously, I don't like to take away from medicine and actual medical professionals. But if I were being asked to look into that, I would look at cellular memory. So maybe in past lives, had they had a head injury, or head trauma that's been carried on over into this lifetime, and then I would say, through past life regression work or Akashic record work,
Mm.
finding out what happened and then breaking that, learning about that, and then seeing how that then affects the person in this current lifetime moving forward. If they found some kind of clarity or information about it, if that helps.
Yeah, so it's more about um, patterns in their lives. So for someone who is having a relationship that's not going well, and the other was not the same, like kind of a repetition in their life is the behave or a pattern of the, I don't know, kind of situations they are repeating in their life. So that's the most important thing that you can discover through your work. That's what you.
Yes, in a way. So some people like doing the past life work just out of pure fascination. Most people are looking for some kind of clarity on a situation or purpose. So, for example, people that are in a relationship or keep going into relationships that meet bad ends, or they keep picking the wrong person. And these people are just thinking to themselves, "Oh, why does this keep happening to me?" And then through past life astrology, they might see that actually they were that bad person in a past life that was messing around other people in relationships, or that they had hidden relationships, or there will be some kind of pattern they're bringing over through lifetimes. And then the idea is in this lifetime, they recognize it, break it, and then hopefully move on.
Okay, so for example, someone who's having avoidant kind of partner, like they cannot share their feelings, and they have a very like toxic or kind of not really working situation of the relationship. So you can really help them to figure out what is the main problem in their relationship and why is that happening, and so and so.
Yes.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
if the other participant is willing, I can overlap the two charts and look at how they can both work together with their karmic lessons to overcome them in this lifetime, to hopefully make, because you can do it with friendships, mother-daughter relationships. It doesn't just have to be romantic partnerships. And if that other person is willing, we can look into their past lives and see if the two of them have been karmically connected before and if they are repeating a cycle together.
I see. I see. For example, in my situation, let's say I had my father passed away when I was 10. So I had a very kind of common tendency to look for some older partners, right? Until I figured out my own situation, like the psychologically talking about like the dependency of someone who is older than you is a repetition until like my 18s, my 25. Then I figure out what's happening. So okay, so you could help me if like something was happening very often and I couldn't figure out my psychologically side. Could you say that?
Yes, but obviously when it comes to you replacing a father figure, I would still never take away from an actual medical professional for psychological help
No.
and breaking those patterns. But if they've had that, I would then say, okay, well, if that's not worked for you, let's now look into your past lives. Just because looking into past life work can bring up a lot of emotions. So if somebody hasn't taken care of themselves mentally in other ways, it can end up creating maybe a trigger or upset. So I like to make sure people have explored other avenues as well.
Mm-hmm. In this chart that you see, what is the information most common, like to indicate this person had an issue in the past life? What is Saturn? Is the house? What is the most indication form that you can notice? Like
For what, sorry?
when you see a astrologist mark chart, right? You can
Yeah.
have a horoscope right there. What is the most sign, the biggest indicator that you can see in someone's that she had or him had a problem in the past life? What is the is Saturn, is the house that is, or Kiran?
So I would look, firstly, I look at everything. I look at the houses and the planet and retrogrades. But the first things I look at are South Node, Saturn, 12th house, Chiron. Those are the first ones. They're the biggest indicators. But it doesn't
So
necessarily negate a problem. They're just the first places I look at.
okay, let's say for people who never heard this before, right? New people listen here, right? Especially from my side, like more psychedelics, more psychotherapists. I use astrologies as well as a tool to help my clients to understand what happened to their life right now, or how we can predict what's the part of their life they need to take a better look, or is the influence, right? So what is exactly north and south node?
Okay, so your South Node is your past lives. That is where your strengths, weaknesses, challenges, skills, that is your South Node. Your North Node is your purpose for this lifetime. So subconsciously, we tend to lean on the South Node more because it feels familiar, but we need to be leaning more towards our North Node to find our right path and our purpose in this lifetime. So by knowing your South Node, you can go, oh, okay, I keep doing that. I need to stop and lean into this North Node energy instead.
So would say that's the most important repetition part in their personality, or something like is already record in their hardware, like something
Yes.
came from the other life, and that's you don't even know where you're doing it, and you keep repeating and keep bringing back, or something that you just know as a use thing, like is
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it's
common.
that cellular memory thing. We bring over traumas, experiences, emotions. So those are things we can end up carrying over into other lifetimes. And we can also bring over good things. So skills, say we have an innate gift for being a great piano player
Mhm.
or guitarist or having a great singing voice or a natural talent for dancing. That could be one of the great skills that we've carried over into this lifetime. So we don't just bring over bad patterns, we can bring over good as well. And that is the great thing about knowing South Node and North Node. You can use them together.
And what exactly they are? Like they are calculus, like the mathematic calculation towards like is the sun and the moon. What exactly is the north and the south? Because they are not planets, right? They are
No,
not Earths. So they are something else. What they
that that is quite complicated to explain. But essentially, when you have your birth chart, you've got so many different things. You've got midheaven, you've got your ascendant, descendant, you've got your nodes, you've got asteroids. There are so many parts at play that it's, and again, so you've got tropical astrology, which is the one that most people use, and then you've got sidereal astrology. So there might be some people listening going, I go by this way or that way. In my opinion, there's no right or wrong way of reading a chart. It is based off of interpretation. But
yes.
the nodes, yes, you're right, they're not planets. They, again, all done by birth time, location, and very specific. But yeah, that's a whole chat in itself, going through all the different variations in a chart.
Would be, we could say that is between Earth, Sun, and Moon, like is a calculus they made where exactly the sky was facing where you were born, when you were born, or no, it's not like Lilith, which is like a moon, this other side of the moon, right?
I'm not sure. But interestingly, I'm pretty sure your North Node was in retrograde. So your North Node was
Oh
actually
yes. For those
so,
who doesn't know, she's doing it my birthday chart, so we're gonna know together exactly what's
yeah.
me.
But yeah, so all in terms of location, yours was not direct at the point of birth. Yours is in retrograde, and you've got quite a lot of planets in retrograde in a chart, which is not the most common thing to see.
I know. I would say in Brazil that I was born in other way around, like in inverted, like for me, nothing is easy, nothing works like this. Well, we are before to start, like my computer like had a problem. I text you, right? Like, hey, sorry. So yes, my Mercury is retrograde as well or not?
Let me have a look. You've
Or
you've
is
got quite a few. Mercury's stationary. You've got
stationary?
Mars,
Okay.
Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto and Node all in retrograde.
Yeah, it cannot be
You
easy.
know, you normally find one or two in retrograde, but you have got all of those, so that's fun for you.
Okay, explain to us exactly what that means because sometimes people are like, oh, it's all wrong. No, there's no right or wrong. There's no bad or good, right?
No,
It's
yeah.
just
So
challenging.
yes, I always say astrology is not something to be feared, it is something to be worked with. And as long as you know how to work with it, it can work wonderfully. But in terms of past life astrology, the retrograde planets basically show the past life energies that require more reflection and refinement.
Okay,
Yeah. So those are the places where your energy needs to be a bit more thought out.
elevated,
Yes. Requires a bit more TLC.
right? Bring some energy up.
Yeah.
And exactly on the and the north node is the retrograde. So in the south is how is
Let's
the
have a look at your south. I think your south isn't. I haven't got your south retrograde up at the moment. I think your south is
quite
your
normal?
south. Yeah. Where are we? But your south is quite close to your midheaven as well, which is always at the top of your chart.
Okay.
So it's not in your midheaven, it's just close to. So sometimes when a planet or something is direct, it's very close, it's basically in the same position as another planet. Yours is quite close to midheaven, so that could be some, in terms of normal astrology, that could be interesting. But obviously we're just focusing on the past life bit here.
And where exactly middle sky, like middle heaven, influences in your life? Like for those who are not familiar to it, would you mind to explain what exactly, why it's so important in someone's map chart?
So I love using midheaven as a way of purpose. So that mixed with North Node, it's really showing you where you need to be putting your energy, where you need to be working in life. So you can use your midheaven, in my opinion, you can use your midheaven for business, relationships, navigating challenges. It is, yeah, it's a forgotten gem of astrology. So when you mix that with things like your good fortune, which is, you know, you've got good fortune, midheaven, North Node, all these things combined together is just your pocket of success. Yeah, a pocket
Yeah,
of success in your birth chart.
could be related to your career or
Yes, you can
okay.
totally use it for your career. And again, you can use it in so many different aspects. And I use mine personally for my career. I use it to help navigate how I run my business. So, and yeah,
It's like a north exactly as well, and can be combined the north node with the middle sky. No, in my
yeah.
case, the opposite is the south.
Yeah. So your south and north node will always be opposite in a chart. So they will never be close together. They
Yeah,
will
yeah, yeah.
always be directly opposite. So your north node could have hypothetically been near your midheaven, but in your case, it's not. It's the other way around.
Very interesting. So that you can apply to someone's like, hey, I don't know what to do with my life. I'm kind of looking for a new career. I'm 40 or maybe I'm just 18. I'm gonna start my new life, right? Or my full life, right? I'm just leaving my teenagers and going to my adulthood. So that will be could be a very important information for them to realize, yes, you're in the right path, or you're very kind of far. You're
Yeah.
not exactly where you should be, but could help. Is a
Yeah.
option to help people to understand.
Yeah. It's about aligning with your true energy. So even if you don't necessarily agree with what your chart is telling you, when the time is right, you might think, I keep making the same mistakes and patterns. I'm going to lean into that now. And people
Or
then start going, I wish I'd listened.
definitely, or your life is not flowing how should be, right? You're trying to do something that is not really open to you, it's not unfolding to you. So maybe you should take a second thought, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You always have time to change. Why not? Right?
Exactly.
And you mentioned in the beginning something about Chiron, right? So for
Yes.
those who are not familiar either, would you mind to explain a little bit what is this guy?
So Chiron is your wounded healer. So it highlights, in terms of the work I do, past life wounds, past life struggles, um, rebirth themes. Yeah. So in terms of normal astrology, it is known as the wounded healer, and it is the same for past life astrology.
And it is mentioned in what part of your chart? Like, is because of the house or the sign that is indicated? Like, what is the part of your life that you have this wound?
We look at both. We'll look at the house and the sign it's in.
Okay, so when exactly, for example, my I think is in house number 12
It is, yes. And
and
it's in Taurus.
Taurus. Yes. So what
Yeah.
that means, if you can.
So let's get your chart up. So let's get your, but also Pluto is a big one. So Pluto works very well with Chiron because obviously Pluto is transformation, rebirth. So the two together work very well. So the Chiron in Taurus and 12th house, there's wounds and healing around material security, self-worth, lack of insecurity. So you've insecurities, self-sufficiency, being very dependent on yourself, repressed emotional needs, spiritual disconnection from abundance. So I guess that's lack of self-worth, which is an interesting one for currently, because obviously we're moving into Venus retrograde, which is all about appreciating self-worth.
Right. And my Venus is together, right? Yes.
Where's your Venus?
With Chiron in my moon.
Yes, it is. It is. So that's gonna be this time. Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh, you're in for a bit of a ride, aren't you? Venus retrograde with your Chiron and Venus together in 12th house, which is obviously very spiritual, which is interesting because you had a lack of dependency on spiritual practices. So in past lives. So now is a great time to be leaning into that, according to your past life astrology.
Well, I kind of don't do that much, right? I'm kind of a spiritual guide, so
Exactly. So you need to be working on actually doing it yourself for yourself.
well, my first patient was myself for years, so definitely I had to work on myself for a long time. When
Yeah,
when you are in the bottom, then you believe that nothing bad can happen anymore, and still more things come on your head. Like, yes, that happened to me, and I use it those little bricks that fall on my head as a steps, and I climb out, and yes, here I am. I had a lot of traumas. As Carl Jung used to say, only a crazy person can take care of another crazy person, right? So there's no way out. So yes, I do believe that whatever happened to me happened for a reason. And these reasons made me who I am right now, right?
exactly.
So we are all the same. I like to compare us, our life, humanity, as a shower cap, right? Everybody comes from the same pipe, same water, and then we spread towards the little holes that have in the shower cap, and we fall parallel, but we fall together in the same as well little drain in your shower, right? And we go back to the same place we were. So we look like individuals, but we are in a huge pressure all together, right? And
Yeah, exactly.
that's we are.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. And what else you saw on my chart? Like we call.
Oh,
Oh my
okay.
God.
So you've
Please
asked,
be
you
kind.
receive.
Uh,
So let's go for so obviously I mentioned before there are key places I look at, but I look at sun, moon, rising. I look at everything. So what I've done your sun and moon for you as well. So your sun being in Pisces, in past lives, you have, so even though your Chiron says that you didn't do so much spiritual practice, that was in abundance. And I can't remember what else it said now, but in a past life, so bear in mind this spans all past lives, it doesn't specify which ones, you may have been drawn to mystical, spiritual, or esoteric practices. And a lot of people that come to me for these past life astrology reports have this because they're carrying over that belief system. So that's quite common to see in these ones. Self-sacrifice, so very selfless, doing more for others. Sacrifice your own needs for the desires of others. So in this lifetime, you may have carried that over as a tendency to overgive, or you're not setting your own personal boundaries very well as to keep others happy. Again, lack of boundaries. So in past lives, you've given too much, and as a result in this lifetime I don't know, but you've potentially carried it over into this lifetime, and you're having to learn how to set boundaries and put yourself first, because how can we give our best selves to others if we're not looking after ourselves first? That's a hard one for people.
Very.
Healing gifts. So Pisces is a sign of healing, both physically and emotionally. So with the sun in Pisces, in past lives, you may have been a healer, psychic, or someone involved in healing arts or spiritual counseling, which again sounds like you may have carried this over into this lifetime because of the work you do. So that's a good thing you've carried over. That's not, a bad
Not a
one.
karma, are you sure?
Creative, emotional, music, painting, poetry, dance. Those are past life things associated with Pisces.
And my formation as well. I'm an art therapist, so yes.
There you go. There you go. And again, a lot of selflessness coming up. So with all these things in this lifetime, it's basically implying you need to work on developing clearer personal boundaries, finding a way to channel your compassion and creativity, but in healthy, grounded ways, so not to overgive yourself. Your moon in Taurus, so desire for material security, attachment to comforts and possessions, emotional stability, self-sufficiency and independence. You have a fixed, stubborn energy, which that's Taurus. Taurus energy is stubborn. So that's a difficult one to break just because it's inbuilt into your astrology. That's your moon sign. So it's how you use the stubbornness.
Yeah. Not to mention, I don't like changing, but I like to move. It's so complicated.
Yeah, where have you got any Sagittarius? So your Neptune is in Sagittarius, so that could imply that side of things. The two, I wonder if they're in the same house. Let's have a look. Sagittarius, Neptune, Moon, 12.
Yes, I love
No.
traveling. I'm not in Canada right now. I left Brazil a long time ago. So yeah, you can understand, but I hate moving, the fact
Yeah,
it's overwhelming. It has to do with Taurus? Is it the fixed sign? Something like that?
yeah. Taurus is very likes to, again, I don't like to pinpoint one trait with a sign because everybody's so
That,
different.
yeah,
But
it's
yes,
so, yeah.
Taurus is a bit more stable and firm, whereas Sagittarius is far more. I'm a Sagittarius moon and I like to be on the go constantly, like to be traveling, moving around, cannot be in one place for long. So in terms of your moon for this lifetime, you may have an innate need for emotional security and stability, and comforted by routines, familiar surroundings, and tangible expressions of love and affection. A deep need to build solid foundations, whether that's a secure home environment or a nurturing relationship, because that can give the same stability. If you've got a good, stable relationship, even if you're moving around, that sense of comfort is still there, that sense of security. Yeah, so let's move on to Saturn.
Oh yeah, the bad guy.
We love the Saturn. Thanks, Karma. So you've got Saturn in Virgo, fourth house, and in retrograde. Woohoo, triple
Okay,
whammy.
tell
So
what that means. Retrograde, is a very common word, but people don't know exactly. Okay, he's going backwards. What did that means?
it's just the planet is moving, and it depends what the planet is moving into. So when a planet is direct, it's in one place. When it's retrograde, it's moving. So with yours, I'm not too sure where yours was retrograde with, but if you have a Venus retrograde with Pluto, that's going to be love mixed with transformation on the deepest level of rebirth, and you could end up having relationships thrown up into the air and big family changes. So retrogrades can bring about a lot of change, a lot of instability if you don't work with them correctly.
What? No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, when you're in Mercury retrograde, you don't want to be making any big moves, or like house moves or big financial commitments. You want to be going, okay, I want to do these things, but I'm just gonna wait till the energy settles a bit and then make your move. So it's about working with the energy, not against it.
Okay, but we could say that retrograde will hold back, like instead to give the full power to the planet, like in the energy working towards whatever flowing, the retrograde planet will hold back the information or the situation or the feeling, or will not allow to flow perfectly. Would we could say that, or no, doesn't apply to the situation?
Mm. In the terms of past life situation, it's just more about the reflection and refinement of the energy, whereas in reality, so that's past life, and in this reality, again, you don't want to let the retrograde control what you're doing. You want to work with it, so you do flow with it. Does that make sense?
Good, yeah, makes sense. And you could work as a lesson learned. Yes, I already know the situation, so yes, I understood, checked, I've learned, and move on. That's
Yes.
okay. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, because past life astrology is in with current astrology in this lifetime, it's constantly moving. We're constantly, every day, the planets move, the different transits happen. With past life astrology, we are focused on a set birth chart of time, place, location of where you were born. And then I combine that with other techniques to create your past life report. But once you've broken the patterns and cycles that we find, yes, tick, done. Yeah, I've done that. I can move on. So yes, it was in retrograde at that point, but I'm good. I've nailed that. We can move on.
Thank God, like we don't repeat as much.
Yes.
So just a few mistakes, probably. And you another thing you mentioned was Pluto. So another, we could say, not very nice guy, could be a villain.
Yes, people fear the Pluto, but in my opinion, we need to constantly, for our souls to grow and evolve, we do need those life
That
lessons. And we chose those lessons and we chose the challenges. And so who are we to fight against Pluto? If Pluto wants us to rebirth, re-transform, if you've got Scorpio and Pluto as well, you're in for a ride. Like you've got major transformation power going on there. And you just have to go again, you got to go with it. There's no point fighting it, because that's when you're going to face frustrations and hitting wall after wall. Flow with it, move with that energy. And change is scary, especially if it's a big transformation like work or relationships, but it is life. And there are certain challenges that we do not choose for this lifetime. We are talking the extremes of the extremes that nobody, the unthinkable things that we don't want to think about. But in terms of your everyday challenges, relationship dramas, work dramas, family dynamics,
yeah.
those things, we choose those things. So it's about remembering ourselves on soul level so that we can go, yes, okay, I'm listening. I'm accepting this challenge as part of my growth.
Perfect, perfect. And exactly what part of the chart you combine with Akashic? What is the name of Akashic?
Akashic records.
Yes, and human design.
Okay, so human design, I look at the centers. So for you, obviously, for the sake of people that don't really know what I'm talking about, there's your
Wow.
chart.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yes.
So I look at the centers, which ones are defined and undefined. And the undefined ones is energy that you need to work on in this lifetime. And the defined centers is like, yeah, no, you nailed that in your past lives. You've ticked it. You're good for this lifetime.
You have
That's how I
support.
use, yeah. Um, And Akashic records, I tend to do those after somebody's had a past life report. So some people are very drawn to certain eras, certain time frames, certain countries. And with the past life astrology report, I can look at that and go, yes, that's why you're connected to that, or really like that. You get some clarity with the report. And then if people want more, they can then use the Akashic records to refine the information. They can take a piece of information from their astrology into the Akashic records and ask a question, and then be shown the answers.
And then you combine with exactly what the person is feeling, or do you do any kind of regression? No.
So I can do past life regression, but I don't, because everything I do is online. Past life regression should be done, in my opinion, in person, because you're putting somebody into hypnosis. So say we have a bad connection line and we cut off, I don't know if that person's okay. So I tend to just help people, guide them into a really deep meditative state so that they've still got control of their body, but they're so almost like a self-hypnosis. They've got more control over their body.
Okay.
Yeah. But we use the report, if they want to create the questions to take into the Akashic records.
Makes sense. And when exactly you apply all together, when the person is already awake or back from this meditative states, like, or you made a report and you send a few hours later?
So the report is made using the
Needed.
astrology, human design, and astrocartography, which is, yeah. Oh, yeah. So this is yours. And it kind of shows countries that you're linked to, things like that. That's how I create the report. Then if people want to then do Akashic record work, we do that at another time once they've taken in all the information. And it's just like two separate things that work well together.
For example, for me, I was born in Brazil, right? Moved to Canada, and there's any link that you can show to you, like what
Let's
this.
have a look.
I hate winter. I don't know how I end up there. I'm so tropical. And
Let's have a
what is
look. Yeah, you don't have many overlapping areas. So I'm not a specialist in astrocartography by any means. I just use it to help me with the past life astrology reports. But in terms of that, you are very, yeah, you're bizarrely, considering you were born in Brazil, your astrocartography is highly focused in Canada.
interesting?
That's really interesting. Really, really interesting.
Maybe
So,
in the past life I was from there. I have a
yeah,
good connection with this.
yeah. I mean, let's see if I found any connections to countries. So normally, because I just did like a slight dive into your past life astrology for the sake of the call. But normally when they take me a few days to put together, because sometimes I can find so many overlapping sections between human design astrology and this that my mind just goes, oh my gosh, I have to
I had to stop.
yeah. But another place for you is straight, your midheaven goes straight through Africa. So somebody listening who does astrocartography might go, oh, that makes sense, and this. I purely use it for past life purposes. So I'm looking at this trying to find past life connection rather than this life connection. But I do know with astrocartography, it's supposed to tell you where you potentially could find love, or where your business would thrive the most, or where you'd be
Oh,
happiest. Where your energy feels most drawn to. So that's for this lifetime. In terms of past lives, I purely use it to find, okay, well, this person is absolutely obsessed with ancient Egypt. They feel like they've got a connection to Egypt. Let's see if their chart shows Egypt. That's the kind of thing I go with.
One of those trips I already had like so many years ago showed me in one past life I was in Africa.
Do you know where?
No, because it was, ayahuasca trip, a journey, and I just know that was I was brought to a place that was my old tribe, natives. Like I felt home. I was back home in I don't know what century when was, but definitely as almost 90% of the population, we have some roots. But I really felt like I was back home in Africa, and was showed me like was Africa, like all everything
Well,
you see.
potentially your midheaven is the red line that I don't know if you can see. Where's my finger? There's a
Yeah,
crossover where my finger is towards the
okay.
lower part of Africa. That's where you've got a crossover. So it'd be interesting to see if that is anywhere near where you went, in as in like where you were in your past life.
I cannot define exactly the name of the country or the name of because have you done?
It's so,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's so bizarre, right? And you are traveling for sure on time, back on time. But yes, we cannot precise where exactly I was. But my
I
connection,
would
yeah, say it.
I would say I would guess it would be there, because if I was doing your report, I'd go, right, that's where it was, because
Yeah,
that's where the
going
two
to me.
bits cross over. So
Exactly. No, you belong to these people. You already have been there. So that voice was explaining that's your home. Like, yeah, welcome back.
yeah,
And you feel welcome. You feel warm. Like it's just love, right?
yeah.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting. Thank you. Thank you. And another thing about Canada, yes, I have no idea why I moved there. I sent my daughter first. My daughter is 25 right now, but I sent her 10 years ago, before me actually. I just had the impression that no, it had to be Canada, has to be Canada. No, 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 no. It's not. Australia is to learn English, right? And yeah, I have no idea.
There is a reason for that. Like, whenever people are drawn to a certain country for no reason, there is a past life connection. And I know people that don't believe in this stuff will be listening going, "Ugh,"
I know.
but it's true. I have found that even places that I'm drawn to, when I go into my past lives, I've had past lives in those places of significance. So we're drawn to these places or these time periods for a reason. It's because the life we led was of significance, because we could have lived hundreds of lives, but there are certain ones that will stick
That's
with
smart.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And another thing, when we met, right, we met online, was a very kind of not coincidence because I don't believe in coincidence, but was very synchronized. You mentioned about the birthmark, right? When
Mm.
you were born with something in your skin, not when you get old or get some marks or spots, but birthmark. Where does this come from exactly?
So, in my beliefs, again, sorry to the people
Or,
that don't
yes,
believe in this,
yes, yes,
my
yes.
belief is birthmarks are signs of something's happened in a past life. So, trauma, injury, cause of death. It sounds dark, but it is the way it is. There are people who I have worked with and people I know of that have found out that they were shot in a past life, and they'll have like a birthmark here where they were shot, or a bit like your one. I think yours was on your ankle, your foot,
Yes,
I think.
right on top of my foot. Yeah.
Yeah, so you could have suffered a trauma to your ankle or foot in a past life, that was of significance. It could have, made you disabled, or it could have been the cause of death. Something that makes you not able-bodied is something you are going to carry over into a next life because it's traumatic.
No, and funny enough, in this life, I already had injury in both ankles.
There you go.
The left one was the one I just had problem in Canada, right? I was already in the other country. And the first one was in Miami. I was traveling. But yes, the very first one I almost had to go for surgery because it was very severe in the between tendon and the bone. Like when you just flip a little and your bone is like just hanging there.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I had to stay for a long time without moving. So yes, has a relationship because yeah,
Yeah.
I have very fragile ankles
Yes.
for
And
my
that
height,
can,
which is ridiculous.
yeah. I mean, these things can be carried over. So there could be, so I know of someone, so it's not somebody through me, I know of somebody that kept getting pain in their arm. And obviously, pain in your arm, you go to a doctor, you think it's something with your heart, and they could not find any problems with the arm. And it was just like a random pain, like up the top here. And then they did past life regression. And through this hypnosis, they were able to establish that this person lost their arm around here in a horse accident. So the horse trampled over the arm or something, and they end up losing their arm. So now in this lifetime, she's got constant pain. And then through hypnosis, the hypnotist then reframed her way of thinking and no longer has pain in the arm.
Wow, yeah, shifting in their mind. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Wow, 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 amazing. Nice job. Thank you so much. In you, what did you do in your past life? You already had this, right? Probably you were a healer or something wherever you were in your past life. Probably. Can you?
Yeah. So my past lives were very much revolved around secret societies. So I was part of Knights Templar, Freemasonry, esoteric practices. And that is very interesting because I've always had an obsession with Freemasonry and the Knights Templar. Like obsession to the point where I can't go anywhere without looking up to see if there's any relation to Freemasonry or Templar history. So I wasn't shocked when I found that out, but it was very confirming for me because I was like, okay, I'm not just weirdly obsessed with these things. Um, Very independent. And in my last life, I did use my independence and power for not the greater good, I don't think. I didn't allow others in. I worked very much as a sole person, and my sole lesson is to learn to collaborate. And I think I've been carrying over this independent energy through my lifetimes, and I'm now breaking it in this one because even though I wasn't necessarily doing anything wrong, I was using my own independence to gain and not help as I should have been. Um,
Oh,
yeah, so in this lifetime, I'm meant to collaborate with people, and I thought that meant opening a business with other people, and I didn't want to do that. I was like, no, this is my business, this is my creation. I'm not giving it to other people, but it's not that at all. I'm work like you invited me to this. I said yes. I was invited for an interview last week. I did that. And these two other amazing ladies invited me to collaborate on this transformation course. And I said yes. So I'm still keeping my independence, but while allowing other people in as well. And since I have done that and broken that cycle, the opportunities and the pathways and the universe has just been sending so much good my way because finally I've broken that cycle and my soul has gone, oh, finally, finally.
let it go. Open a little.
Yes.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, we are loving it. Your work, I do. I appreciate, I admire. I do believe because as I told you, we are so connected in so many ways. Like will be impossible for die and just, don't exist anymore and your soul is just gone, right? So of course we care so much stuff, like we learn, we need to learn even more, we evolve, we sometimes even, how can I say the opposite of evolve, like we even regret sometimes, like we do some steps back for sure, but definitely we are all the same connection over and
Exactly.
over, right? So when you do, have you tried any psychedelics and you have the experience and then you reinforce all this information? No.
So I have done the psychedelics myself in the past, but I am not qualified in any way to work with them or give them to people.
No, no, no.
But
I'm saying when you connect with your informations from your own life, that reinforce to you, or no, not really?
oh yeah, it absolutely reinforced everything. It was like a light bulb. Like when I took my own belief system and then almost found confirmation through this work that I was on the right path, and actually keep going. You're doing the right thing. Your thoughts and your belief system, they're not crazy. They're not woo-woo. They're real. I was like, and nothing else mattered at that point. The judgment from other people and other people's views literally did not matter, because my soul knew you're doing the right thing.
Mm.
You're you, and that is all that matters.
And please spread the knowledge because it's really important. That was the most
Yeah,
important part that I always heard is share what you learn because it has to
exactly.
be, passed away, passed to others.
Yeah, yeah. And I just want to, this system that I have personally created, I haven't found from, I've not copied it from anyone. I've not taken it from an app. Everything I do is done by me and through my own experience. Like I have been working on this for so long, I can't even tell you. And I just want to share it with everyone. I want everybody to be on that high vibration. I want everybody to be living in their true alignment. And I
Exactly.
wish I could shout it from the rooftops that this stuff works. This stuff is real. Please, everyone. Like
Open
it
your
just makes,
eyes,
yeah,
even the
it
third
makes
one,
me
right?
it makes me so happy when people contact me and say, I can't believe I didn't do this sooner, or this has changed my whole life. And I'm like, oh, it's not me, it's you. You've done the work. I've given you the tools to be able to do it, but you're the one doing it and creating it. And I just
Exactly.
love it.
Well, I used to say that we do just like you turn the bubble app on, then you see the room, then you do the work, you clean by yourself. There's nothing
Yeah,
I just turned the light on, and you can see whatever was there already. So that's our job. We are like
yeah,
the light in their life. That's all.
yeah. Like in human design, we have a strongest sense, and mine is inner vision, which means I'm meant to open people's eyes to what they can't see. I'm meant to open people's eyes to the bigger picture. I wonder what yours is. Hold on, bear with me. Sorry, everyone. I've got
No
your human
worries.
design chart, but I'm just gonna quickly look at your Oh, I don't have it. I'm going to let you know what your strongest sense
Okay.
is after
I
this,
will
because I would
post
love to
it.
see if it's. I think you're probably going to have like inner or outer vision as a strongest sense, just because of who you are. Be
Really?
interesting to see.
Well, maybe I just figure out now. But wow, I really appreciate your presence here, your work. You're very passionate about it. Your soul is so bright. Everything you do with love, the outbound cannot be different, right? The outcome is exactly what you have. And I appreciate to be with you. And definitely, we're gonna do more things together. I think we can. And well, please, do you want to finish with something like just to enlace everything together?
Yeah, of course. Well, I just want everybody to live in alignment with their highest vibration, however you find it, whether it's through past life work, the work you do, human design, astrology, whatever it is, whatever resonates, just do it. If you're being pulled to do something, there is a reason for it. Lean into it. I'm not saying come with us, like, I'm not saying that,
It's
but if
your
you're
call.
pulled, just do it, please, because there is a reason for it. Just live the highest timeline.
We only have this moment to fix it whatever we need, right? Fix is not the word, but figure out whatever you need. So that's the moment you have to, you know, open your heart, your soul, your mind, and realize that there is a way out for everything, right?
Yes.
For those who
Yes.
don't believe, you're going to find another solution or other way or other practitioner. There's so many people working these days, right? So we need
Yes.
more healers. We need more, you know, light workers that we call.
Yes.
So together we are stronger, right?
Yes. I love that.
So thank you so much. I really appreciate we're going to do something more together. And well, thank you. Bye
Bye.
bye.